48 receptions, 888 yards, 7 TDs last season. 3 100-yard games in the final 5 games of the year. He ran a 4.43 in the 40th Combine. Second among receivers in the 3-cone drill and the 20-yard shuttle. The 2022 NFL Draft gets underway on April 28th. Kevin Austin Jr. is my guest. Kevin, it's good to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great, Kevin. Doing great. Nice to have you on. So let me ask you, you're coming off a really nice showing at the Combine, but if you were to take me back to prior to the Combine, you'd been training at Exos in Arizona. What was that process like, and what are the types of things that you're working on and trying to improve?
Yeah, I would say running the 40 was a big thing. I knew that I was fast, but, learning the technique and understanding everything about it. And then I would say running routes as a receiver, being a complete receiver, watching film and understanding snap down and releases.
You know what, when you look at the Combine, there's so much weight put on that 40. And then you've got the 3-cone drill and you've got the 20-yard shuttle. I'm curious, knowing what's riding on just a few seconds, how did you approach that? What's your mindset going into that? Do you try and look at that like I've got a chance to show everybody something, or do you try to just kind of shut out the pressure and ignore it?
Yeah, I would say for me, I shut out the pressure and kind of ignore it. I mean, I know I'm a fast person growing up in South Florida, racing some against the fastest guys in the country. I know I'm pretty fast, so I just try to shut it out and ignore everything and try to focus on myself and running my race.
Talking to Kevin Austin Jr., obviously, we know you're fast. We know you can run. But there's so much to the position beyond that. You know this. As part of your training, you've been working with other elite receivers. What has that done for your confidence in terms of knowing how you stack up with everybody else?
Yeah, I would say just learning from certain guys and picking up things that other guys do and them learning off me and us helping each other. I would say that's the biggest thing, and understanding, these guys who went to big schools and played in big games, and so, we can all learn from each other.
Kevin Austin joining me. Also, you played with Chase Claypool at Notre Dame. When he was at the Combine last year, he was hyping you and saying, quote, Kevin Austin is going to be a star. I've been saying it all along. He's a super good player, end of quote. So what did that mean to you to hear that? And then what did you learn from Chase over the years?
Yeah, no, it was great hearing that about Chase saying that about me. I felt like he's known my potential, what I could be throughout the years of him being here and me being here at the same time. But, I look up to Chase. He's like a big brother to me. I've learned a lot from Chase in terms of mentality and being physical. So I would say that those things, learning from him in those aspects are a really big part of, how he's helped me throughout this.
We're talking to Kevin Austin, and he's getting ready for the NFL Draft. I like what you said about mentality and approach. As an example, I've heard you say this too. As a receiver, your mentality is, quote, to dominate my opponent, the man standing in front of me. I feel like every play is a one-on-one. I never try to lose a one-on-one. What about that mentality? Can you kind of elaborate on that? And is that a mentality you've always had, or did you develop that recently?
No, I would say that's the mentality I had growing up. I've been always competitive, no matter what sport I was playing, if it was track or playing basketball, soccer, football. And so I would say that mentality is just just been growing inside of me since I was a child. And, it's just getting even more prominent towards the end of, this season and things like that, and trying to, build that confidence among myself. So I always feel like I can't lose a one-on-one.
Hey, Kevin, late in the season, or I should say last season was your best season, but it got better as the season wore on. In fact, almost half your receptions and half your yardage came in the last 5 games. Was there something that changed for you over the course of the year? Did you notice a difference in your game, or maybe was the ball just coming to you more?
No, I would say the ball just coming to me more, and just understanding that, I had a role in our offense. So whenever I needed to, step into that role, I did that. And so just, being consistent every single week and doing the things I needed to do every single week to prepare myself for the next opponent, I would just say that's the big thing.
Kevin Austin Jr. is my guest. It's one thing when you're healthy and you feel good and you're playing well, that's one thing. But having to overcome adversity is another. And it seems to me like everybody has it. You don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. You're going to get faced with some sort of adversity. In 2020, you broke a bone in your foot in fall camp. You worked your way all the way back only to break it again. What was it like to deal with that, and how did you fight through it?
Yeah, no, it was hard, I would say, for sure. Re-breaking it was the biggest thing. But understanding that I had, amazing teammates and coaches around me that continue to stay confident in me and tell me that when I came back, this was going to be, I was going to have the receiver spot and I was going to be the guy. And so I always believed that as well. So hearing that from them always helped my confidence in my healing process throughout, recovering after those injuries.
And Kevin, you could return to Notre Dame for another season, and in fact, the story goes that you received a return to school grade from the NFL Draft Advisory Committee. So what were the factors that let you know that you were ready to move to the next level?
I would say firstly, I graduated in 3.5 years, which is a goal to get my degree from Notre Dame. So that was huge. So once I graduated and I heard that I graduated this semester, I kind of focused on what I'm going to need to do and how I'm going to feel going to the next level. And I feel physically and mentally ready to move on to the next level and compete at the highest level.
Hey, by the way, I want to give you credit for that. That actually is a huge thing that you graduated and did so early. What does that accomplishment mean to you, and how much pride is there for you in that fact that you did as well as you did academically and you finished?
Yeah, I would say it just goes to show my work ethic on and off the field. It's the same every single time, and I feel like it was something that was important to me, which was to graduate. I didn't have a goal in how many years, but going to Notre Dame, we summer classes and do those things that allow us to get extra credits. And so it was an amazing accomplishment that I figured out that I was going to graduate early.
Kevin Austin Jr. is joining us. He's getting ready for the NFL draft. Your teammate Kyle Hamilton is expected to go very early in the draft. You know how rare it is that safeties are selected that high in the first round. So what makes him unique as a player?
Yeah, I give accomplishments to Kyle every single chance I get because he's an amazing person and an amazing athlete. I would say him being so smart, you can see it on the film. He understands when the defense is breaking down at a certain point where he needs to help, bend it back straight. And so I would say being so smart and being so physically gifted, he's 6'2", 6'3", and he can, run with everybody on the field. So I would say being so versatile on the field that teams can use him anywhere, and him being so smart that teams can be able to use him anywhere.
The NFL draft is on April 28th. Kevin Austin Jr., Notre Dame wide receiver, getting ready for it. Hey, before I let you go, even though you're not going to return to the program, you got a glimpse of what new head coach Marcus Freeman will be like as part of the preparation for the bowl game. I'm not sure I've ever seen a team react the way it did to a new head coach or a head coach for the first time as Notre Dame did. What are your early thoughts on him as a head coach?
Yeah, I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great person. He preached this coming into the meetings early on in, his head coaching during the end of the bowl season, that he wanted to show the coaches being, father, men, husbands, people that they can look up to, us as players. And so him, creating that atmosphere and also creating the competitive atmosphere that he's trying to bring the best athletes to Notre Dame as possible, as many of them as possible. So creating that atmosphere, I feel like he's going to do great things for the program. He always talked about enhancing the program and how he's going to make it better because we already built such a strong foundation. And so I felt like him coming in and us as players wanting him to be the head coach is just going to be even a more, success towards Notre Dame program.
I see it. Listen, before you go, one thought about your game I want to ask you about. You had some of your biggest success. You did some real damage with the 9 route. What is the key to success on that route? And then how good does it feel to hit a defense with a big shot like that?
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. That's literally, the backstabbing of your defense is when you can take a shot on them and go deep, and they have no answer for it. So I would say, my mentality throughout that process, when the ball, releasing up the line, and then winning vertically, and then basically when the ball's in the air, that it's mine. It's only one person around me, and I'm going to go win every single time. That one-on-one mentality that I'm going to win every single time. So I would say those things combined basically make for why I can be so competitive in the 9 round.
He coming off a big year too, 48 receptions, almost 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, ran that 4.43 40 at the combine, and the NFL draft does get underway on April 28th. Kevin Austin Jr., my guest. Kevin, really good to have you on the show. Good luck with that. Let's do it again soon. I always say this to draft prospects. When you find out where you're going to live and work, I'd love to run you down once again.
Okay, amazing. Sounds great. Thank you.
You got it. Appreciate you, Kevin. Nice job. Amazing. I like that. Amazing. Sounds great. You do that, Rome. You find me. Love hearing that. And as always, Notre Dame players are very polished. on and off the field. And that will not be the last draft prospect that we get prior to it. When we come back, we talk about